Welcome to the morning after CFFL edition, week 15 of the week 14. The regular season, the playoffs edition. We'll get right into the action. A pretty busy week, and then also the all fantasy team gets revealed this week. First of all, we came to one of the games. The number 4 seed and the number 5 seed battled in a tight game. Horn Dogs fell to the Bruisers 59 to 50.5. Came down to Monday night as Ruben Randall scored. Actually had more than 10 yards to give the Bruisers the win. But amazingly, the Bruisers quarterback and their two running backs, Andy Dalton, Danny Woodhead, and Thomas Rawls, combined for 3 points in the game, and he still won. Mostly thanks to Doug Baldwin's huge game, but a couple other touchdowns as well. The Horn Dogs are led by Ryan Fitzpatrick's 18 points, as the defending champion is now moved into the 5th place game. This week also saw the Price is Right take down the Garbage Men 65.5 to 58.5. It looked like this game was over heading into Monday night, but Odell Beckham's 20-plus points made it close, and actually a late touchdown by Odell Beckham may have given the Garbage Men the win. Beckham and D'Angelo Williams at 37 points combined, but not enough for the Garbage Men, as Drew Brees had 15 points. He'll now play the Bone Storm next week. The consolation round saw the Bucks take down the Badgers, which means they both advance, but the Bucks will play the lower seed, so they will play the Kongs next round as they take down the Gargoyles 82 to 76, and the Little Big Men's season ends as the Dingles take them down 68.5 to 26, so the Dingles will play the Badgers next round. As you can see in the consolation round, the last 3 years, the winner has now been eliminated. Team LBM in 2012 is out, and the back-to-back champion Gargoyles have been eliminated from that round as well. Player of the week, while not the highest scoring guy, but arguably the MVP of the week, Doug Baldwin had 3 touchdowns, 82 receiving yards, and 22 points to help carry the Bruisers to their victory over the Horn Dogs. The Bruisers' only second playoff victory. Maybe a team of destiny with that type of win. Looking at now the walk of shame, there really isn't a walk of shame at this point if you at least made the playoffs, but the Horn Dogs have to be quite disappointed. After an 0-4 start, they just simply ran out of gas. The Bruisers, as I mentioned earlier, starting running back and quarterbacks combined for 3 points. Yet the Bruisers still won by 8.5. Actually, I think it was 9 in the end. Or 8.5. I'm sorry, it was 8.5. A great year by them putting together Sharkhandrick West off free agency, Willie Snead off free agency, Ryan Fitzpatrick off of free agency. So good job there. But he may have just ran into a team of destiny, which I'll now face next week. They're kind of clicking at the right time. So Bruisers advance, Horn Dogs will advance now, or fall into the 5th place game. As we talked about last week, the prize money, high points, and the most points have been settled. Cardinals, Bone Storm, Price is Right, and Bruisers have all won $75, and the winners of those games next week will earn another $125. Garbage Men and Horn Dogs have each won $30. The winner next week earns another $20. So the 5th place game is worth $20. Next up, we'll do the all-fantasy team. When doing this, I noticed that everyone this year scored less. All the teams, like last year, Luck had 20.3, and the quarterback this year, top one, had 19 points a game. Pretty much everyone was about anywhere between 1 and maybe a half point less than what their what the similar player was last year in there. Yeah, so I don't know what the deal was. I don't know if the NFL had less scoring or if it was just more spread out, because there really wasn't anybody with crazy amounts of touchdowns this year. But as we get into it, we'll start with quarterback, and as you can guess, it was Tom Brady this year, although Cam Newton put up a heck of a last couple weeks, and so did Russell Wilson. Brady finished with 19 points per game. Last year, like I said, Andrew Luck had 20 points. Devontae Freeman had 10.8 points per game and is the number 1 running back this year. Last year, DeMarco Moore had 12 points a game. As a comparison for the Bone Storm there, Devontae Freeman helped carry his team to the playoffs. Other running back, Adrian Peterson had 9.9 points per game to lead Team Price's Right into the semifinal round. Garbage Men, who almost snuck into the semifinal round, were led by Odell Beckham's 10.2 points per game during the regular season. Last year's top receiver had over 11 points a game. DeAndre Hopkins also had 10.2 points per game for the Bruisers as they advanced to the semifinals. And finally, The Bone Storm were led by Allen Robinson's 10.1 points per game to be the other receiver on the starting all-fantasy team. The flex position, on the other hand, was a tie. Brandon Marshall and Antonio Brown had even points for the Horned Dogs and the Bucks, respectively, 9.8, which was about what the fantasy team was last year at the flex position. And what a better way for, if this is DK's last year, for him to get the kicker on the all-fantasy team. Gostkowski had 10.8 per game, again less than last year by just a little bit, I think half a point. But the Kongs, and Gostkowski was the fantasy kicker of the year last year, have always liked the kicker position, so I'm glad he got that position on the all-fantasy team. And finally, the defense this year, the Broncos defense. Last year, the Eagles defense at over 9, or right about, I think, 8.9. This year, the Broncos defense at 8 points per game, and the Horned Dogs had them, as they almost carried him to a victory this week. Had they gotten a pick 6 against Carr, they may have been able to sneak into the next round. Top games next week: Price is Right versus the Bone Storm, 2 versus 3. The Cardinals versus the Bruisers, 1 versus 5. Both should be very good games. Both teams have a lot of superstars: Adrian Peterson, Devontae Freeman, Allen Robinson on that team. LaShawn McCoy on Price is Right as well. Bruisers have DeAndre Hopkins and Doug Baldwin, who, if you would have said that a couple weeks ago, everyone would have thought you're crazy, but he's been the best fantasy player over the last 3 weeks. Cardinals are led by the Patriots, Gronk and Brady, and Doug Martin. So it should be close, and we'll be back next week to talk about the Super Bowl 22 that'll be occurring. Also next week we'll do the Fantasy Honors, MVP, and a couple other awards. The Kurt Warner Award, the Eric Red Award, the Dave Pujic Award will all be handed out. Also a reminder, if you're out, there's still Week 17 for the Battle Royal, which is an additional $20, so don't give up, and you can keep making moves to try to get the best team possible for Week 17, where it's kind of a free-for-all with all the guys that sit, so you never know who really is going to play. So that is the show this week. We did a very quick but thorough job, I feel. Thanks for tuning in. Best of luck to everyone except you, Bernie. Sorry, I have to try to take you down this week. I want to get back to the Super Bowl. So best of luck to everyone. And that is it. Actually, there was one point I forgot to mention. When we were talking about the points this year, it was all spread out. This year, if the second and third highest scoring teams, like I said, there was less scoring in the league than last year. I think the second and third highest scoring teams this year would have been like 5th and 6th last year. So it's an anomaly. I'm not sure where, if the NFL scoring is down, like I said, or if it's just kind of spread out as to who's scoring the points this year. But that was one point I forgot to mention on my little bullet points I want to hit. So thank you for tuning in, and check us out next week. Good luck to all, and OK Bowl next week, and the Super Bowl next week as well.